Welcome to this video about my 1980 Volvo 345 DL. I've owned this car since 2009 and it's the most original of all the cars I have. It's in absolutely unmolested, completely unrestored condition. So the paintwork is just a little bit faded. It is now 39 years old this year. You can see the wing and the door, and especially the rear quarter are all quite faded, but actually a little bit of tea-cut brings that up nicely. The car looks like how it does at the moment because it's been in its garage all winter and it's only just come out. So I need to give it a good clean and a tea-cut and a polish for the spring, and I shall do that very shortly. So the car is a 1980 model. It's a Mark I 340 because it still has the bull nose on the front, and it's still got the original very square bumpers. You can see in 1981, this green one is a 1981 car, they introduced wraparound bumpers for the first time, and also a few other minor changes. You can see that the quarter lights have no chrome trim on them there in 1981, but in 1980 we still had some chrome there. There's absolutely no rust on this car. It has been garaged and well looked after throughout its life. It belonged to a lady who lived in Beckenham in Kent, South London. All its life she bought it brand new in 1980, and when she died in 2007 or 2008 it was put on eBay, and I found it and immediately bought it. I mentioned that it's in very original condition, so there are quite a few little dings and dents. That one's the worst. There's a little slight scrape on that wheel arch, and there's another little dent on that wheel arch there. So although Miss Valerie Green, who owned the car before me, looked after it very well, she did occasionally have mishaps, presumably with the side of her garage, would be my guess as what caused that, and I don't quite know what caused the big dent on the door, but it's very odd. I wonder whether something fell on it in her garage potentially, or she closed the door on something. I don't know. The 1980 model year is significant for Volvo 340s because it's the first year that 5 doors were introduced, and so 345 is the designation here. They were all 343 before this point. It completely changed in 1983 and we dropped the last number, so they were always known as 340 regardless of how many doors they had. Let's take a look inside. And again, you'll see that it's in good but original used condition. I haven't really restored anything, so there's a little bit of wear on the seats. There's a few what I think might be cigarette burns on the carpet there, although it never has smelled of cigarette smoke. I couldn't see any smoking signs in the ashtray. It's got original Volvo floor mats that came with the car, period correct. It also has its radio, long wave and medium wave, which also came with the car when I bought it, and it was the only optional extra. Oh no, it wasn't. It was one of the 2 optional extras that Miss Green specified. One was the radio and the other was these door pockets, which weren't standard on a DL model, DL being the base model at the time. And you'll see here on the dashboard it's done 38,000 miles. And I think when I got it, it had 34,000 miles on the clock, so it really is a very, very low mileage car for its age. Sitting in the driver's seat, you'll see we've got a 4-speed manual gearbox, which works very well. 1979 was the first year we got manual in a 340, so 1980 was the second year of that. Now, as I showed you in my green car video, the glove box often don't open properly, and this is a very good example. In fact, I'm not sure I can do it with only one hand, but essentially you need to jam your fingers in and force it open. It doesn't like to open of its own accord for some reason. Everything works. There's a fan and a lighter. I always like having the lighter at the same angle as the fan there because I'm just a little bit geeky like that. and very similar temperature controls to a 240, although I don't think you can set these middle ones to be just air. I think that actually they are automatically set to be just air. They never heat. I think the side ones are only heat, whereas a 240 you can select whether the middle ones are cool or a warm air mix. Yes, and then you've got separate left and right controls for the defrosters over there and the floor. There's a little bit of rust on the dashboard here. It's very odd. I ought to sort of treat that with a little bit of black satin paint perhaps one day. Over here, just underneath the steering column on the right, is the light controls on the heated rear window. Everything works. And we've got a very simple wash wipe function. There's no intermittent, I don't think there is anyway. And there's the lights and indicators over there. The back, as you'd expect, is also in very good condition, and there's a very small tear on the seat over there, but that's been repaired years ago, not long before I owned the car. There's no rear speakers. They would go in that indentation there, but then they're not there in this car. Another difference between 1980 and 81 is on 80 the rear seat is very flat. The seat back is very flat, whereas in 1981 they changed it and they become a bit more sculpted, as you'd see in my other video. Let's have a look in the boot. I need to use the little key to open the boot. And there we go, we've got original Volvo accessory basket, and that actually came from my mother's 340. She owned a D registration 1.7 340, and that was in it when she bought that, and we took it to the car she had after that, a 440, and after that another 440, and then I nicked it when I started to drive, and I got a 440. So I've still got that, which I really like. The parcel shelf for 1980 is the last year they used this style of parcel shelf. I think it was used in 79 and 80, possibly 78 as well. It's much more solid. It's got a metal bar along here. Means it doesn't bow anywhere near as much as the later ones. It's so much tougher than the later ones, much better made. It's an example of where quality sort of reduced as the life of 340s went on. Another view of the interior, and let's pop the bonnet. Clicks into place quite nicely. There we are, a pretty good condition 1980 engine bay. The air filter could probably do with a little bit of a tidy up, but again I'm hesitant to do so because it's got its original marks there for showing where it should line up. I might do so one day. Master cylinder looks in very good condition. I've just replaced those two fuel hoses there which had perished over the winter, which was really quite dangerous. And we've got the spare wheel with toolkit inside the engine bay. A couple of differences here between the 1981 car is in 81 they changed the spare wheel setup so that there's an integrated toolbox underneath it, and then over here, this is the last year we got the fuse box, and that was flat. In 1981 they changed to a slightly smaller and more vertical fuse box. And the biggest difference, of course, between 80 and 81 is this is the last year with the cylindrical air filter separate to the carburettor. In 81 it became a circular filter on top of the carburettor. Right, let's start it up. Key goes in there, and let's see how sweetly she sounds. Fires up straight away. Let's go and just look at the engine running. And there we are, that's the Renault 1.4 engine that was previously used in the DAFs as a 1.3, and I think it's used in various Renaults over the years. And it runs extremely sweetly. So there we have it. That's my 1980 Volvo 345 DL. I hope you liked a little look around it, and join me again for another video of one of my other cars.